Mr. Campbell.
Here.
Mr. Pollock.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Here.
Mr. Hart.
Here.
Mr. Rosser.
Here.
Mr. Thacker.
Here.
All here.
Thank you. Let's all stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, once again, good evening and welcome to all those who have taken the time to come here and be in council chambers this evening, and to those who are at home watching this meeting on Claremont County Communications Channel number 22 or by way of the Amelia Village website. We thank you for stopping by and for your interest in the Village of Amelia and the business that we will be conducting this evening. And we also encourage and urge you to provide input at any time. Love to hear from you. We'll move on down through the agenda this evening. First item on the agenda is the approval of previous meeting minutes. The first set is for a regular meeting held on November 21st, 2011. I entertain a motion from council at this time.
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes.
Second.
Discussion or roll call?
Mr. Campbell.
Yay.
Mr. Pollock.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yay.
Mr. Hart.
Yay.
Mr. Rosser.
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
6-0.
All right, the second set of minutes is for a special meeting on December 5th, 2011.
Mayor, was that a special meeting or a regular meeting?
That was a regular meeting. Huh?
That's what I thought.
Oh, I was just reading.
I know, I saw it in the minutes.
First
It
Monday
should
of
be,
the month.
yeah,
It's-
it
it's
should be a
just-
regular.
That's what I get for using the last meeting as a template.
All right, so I apologize. A regular meeting on December 5th, 2011.
I'll
And
make a
I
motion.
believe the minutes someone might want to make a motion to amend the minutes because the minutes also refer to a special meeting.
Okay.
Okay. I'll make a motion to amend the minutes of the 19th from special to regular meeting.
Which night, Mr. Pollock?
Fifth.
The fifth.
It was
Wait, the
The
5th, you said the
fifth.
19th. That would be tonight. The 5th.
Oh, that makes you thirsty. Oh, okay.
I got
Yeah, the 5th.
pictures.
All right, so we have a first.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campbell.
Yay.
Mr. Pollock.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yeah.
Mr. Hart.
Yay.
Mr. Rosser.
Abstain.
Mr. Thacker.
Yeah.
5-1.
All right. I'm going to make a short, quick change in the agenda this evening and give the police chief an opportunity to present his report. First thing this evening, due to a personal matter, the police chief is going to have to leave immediately following his report. I want to give him an opportunity to provide his report and answer any questions to council so that he can do so. Welcome, Chief Friend.
Thank you, Council, Mayor. Some noticeable events that we've had occur in our village recently. First, I'm going to talk about the fatality that happened on East Main Street in front of a elementary school there. The accident is still pending, and the reason for that is that we're awaiting drug tests and things of all the driver and the two pedestrians. We had an officer go to Bethesda North, and he has started rehab, although he has multiple injuries. So there's concern there. He's going to have a long road back. On a lighter note, the Merry Christmas Parade went out without a hitch. We had 14 officers total, traffic control, and went fine. No incidents of injury. We want to thank the following departments for that, which is Claremont County Sheriff's Office, Bethel Police Department, and Pierce Township Police Department. We all work well together. There were a lot of people at that parade, a lot of children, and it went very well. We had a couple days ago, we had a heroin overdose at 66 West Main Street. The guy did it in the backseat of a vehicle. he started seizing right away. She pulled into the parking lot, and all of a sudden he stopped breathing, and the Union Township Fire Department was called as the Amelia officers. When we got there, he was non-breathing. The officers and the EMS got him back with a shot of that Narcan, and put in your description of what Narcan exactly is. Reverses the effects of the drug, so it brings it back to us like a supercharger drug. And in this case, it did bring him back. We had a couple trespassers at Skate Park. That's a concern. It has been for a while. They jumped the barricades. There was a 17, 18-year-old. They were from a different area, Batavia, and they both have charges and are waiting for court appearances. One thing I did leave out here was we had the Will of Justice up at Grouse Street. That's the neighborhood with all the lights and the Christmas. And if you know anything about the Will of Justice, that's Crime Stoppers, and Deborah Dixon's in charge of that. As a matter of fact, she was the innovator of that whole program across the whole country. She was the first one that ever did this. We had a person we were looking for, but the day before this, he got apprehended. So she came anyway. We had this all planned out. Kobe Murrell and myself, we went up there, and we spun the Will of Justice and landed on somebody else that they put money on, and then the person who turns him in gets the money. So that's how that operates, and it's very successful. Administratively, this is my anniversary of my week. Monday, last Monday, my transition's been very well. And that's the reason that is because the village employees, the officers themselves, and everywhere I went, they were really happy to see me. They seemed and congratulated me, and it really makes a big difference in transition. And the officer spirits seem really high. And we're just going to get through this holiday season, and wish everybody a Merry Christmas. And that's all I have to report tonight.
Thanks, Chief.
Any
Merry
questions?
Christmas to you too.
Any questions for Chief before he departs? Whatever you feel like it. Thank you, guys.
Just be careful out of
Thank you,
32. It's a huge accident.
Next item on the agenda is the mayor's report for December 19, 2011. Under the heading of meetings, being involved in correspondence with many people on behalf of the Amelia Village since the last meeting, including but not limited to the following: interim police chief. You're not an interim police chief. Copy and paste there. Police chief David Friend, representatives from Union Township Fire Department, fiscal officer Kevin Pyle, village solicitor Julia Carney, Pat Needle from CDS Engineering, village staff, police personnel, and village residents. Under the heading of final comments, I'd like to thank the good citizens of Amelia Village for placing their trust in my ability to lead the village during the last 4 years. I would also like to thank the employees and staff here at the village. Their support and devotion to providing a high level of service to our citizens is outstanding. I'd like to say that my departure is a happy one for me, but that is not exactly correct, as I find my departure to be bittersweet. I'm happy that I'll have more time to spend with my own business and family, etc. However, while much has been accomplished here in the last 4 years, I am disappointed that I will not be able to be here to stay to finish some tasks that were just not enough time to finish. The mayor's job is a very time-consuming position, and as Julie could attest to if she were here, more often than not, my commitment to the village has exceeded 40 hours weekly, not necessarily in the office, but from my home office and throughout the day and evenings by way of meetings, email, telephone, etc. I'd like to take the time now to provide my feedback and opinion on some very important issues, situations, and topics, etc., that we have dealt with since 2008, which is just sort of a review of things. The earnings tax discussion. Almost immediately when I took office as mayor, it was brought to my attention that the Finance Committee had made a recommendation to Village Council to pursue a discussion as to whether or not council should impose an earnings tax. My opinion was then and remains that imposing such a tax without citizens being aware of it was not something I would participate in. It was at that time that I scheduled town hall meetings to have this discussion with Amelia Village residents. Needless to say, this was a controversial time for village government and its citizens. This was a very time-consuming matter that encompassed many hours of administrative and legal resources. Another issue is the effort to dissolve Amelia, also very controversial. After the first unsuccessful effort to collect enough signatures to place the issue on the ballot to dissolve Amelia, the second effort was successful, and ultimately this matter was taken to a vote and decided by Amelia's taxpayers. Again, this was a very time-consuming matter that encompassed an unbelievable amount of hours administratively and legally. Of course, there's a big giant typo right there. The resignation of the public works supervisor and village administrator, both of these issues will utilize several hours of administrative and legal resources. The transition from clerk treasurer to fiscal officer, utilizing many hours of legal counseling as well as many hours of consulting from a state certified visiting clerk. The Amelia Christmas Parade, utilizing many hours of legal counseling as well as many hours of administrative support. A successful legal mediation with Union Township Fire Department, utilizing many hours of legal counseling, resulting in the return of over $200,000 in revenue back to the fire levy fund. The elimination of the waste levy, also utilizing many hours of legal counseling. 2 police levies that were run during the time from 2008 to present, utilizing many hours of legal counseling and administrative support. The Church Street grant, this application was submitted twice. The first time we were successful in being awarded the grant, however, we were unable to accept the grant due to an inability to be able to provide the needed matching grant funds, which was roughly $70,000. In 2011, the same application was submitted and sadly was not awarded. Many engineering hours and consultation were devoted to this project over the years. The discussion to consider outsourcing for police service with Claremont County, also very controversial and utilizing many hours of legal counseling as well as many hours of administrative services. Transparency achieved. During the effort to dissolve Amelia, it was brought up several times that Amelia Village government is run behind closed doors. Through videotaping all regularly scheduled council meetings, some town hall meetings, and making those meetings available on public access television as well as via the Amelia Village website, as well as at the Amelia Public Library. Citizens who wish to be in the loop on what's going on in Amelia can watch meetings 24/7 at their own convenience. Fiscal responsibility. The statistics provided below in this report will demonstrate that during a time of lost revenue, substantial cuts and expenses were also made. In 2011, Amelia Village will finish the year with a greater ending balance in all major funds than ever before. Administrative overview. Julie Wortman and Linda Shealy are both outstanding at their jobs. Well, I hate to see the position the village would be in if either one of them were to depart. They basically are a one-man show, chief cook and bottle washer, and no more answers to things around here than probably anybody. Kevin Pyle's position as part-time fiscal officer is a busy one, and it's just my opinion, but that position could easily be a full-time position. Public Works overview. Since Rick Rowland has taken over this department, I believe that the quality and quantity of work is superior. Rick has done a very good job in keeping expenses in check while staying ahead of his task list. Very rarely do I find him behind the 8 ball, and if I do, it's usually because the weather's not cooperating or equipment failure. Police Department overview. In 2011, Amelia Police Department will have the highest ending balance in its history. The last 4 years have been trying times for our officers, as since 2008, their jobs have constantly been in question with the attempt to dissolve the village and the recent discussion to outsource with the county. I'm happy that the Amelia Police Department is intact and on its way to an even brighter future under the leadership of Chief David Friend. Also must be on the record that I still have concerns for officer safety and public safety. I just don't believe that our staffing levels are such that our officers and citizens are as safe as they could be. While I feel misunderstood on the subject of my support for the Amelia Police Department, I must say that our officers have continued to provide a high level of service throughout the turbulent times. When job security has been constantly threatened, and there have been no raises for going on 4 years now, they've remained steadfast in their service to our residents, and I thank our officers for their diligence. In closing, it has been an honor to serve this village, and I hope that village leadership will be proactive, looking forward and not backward, be fiscally responsible and transparent in the way that they govern, always keeping an eye on the big picture, always being able to ask yourself, am I voting based on my own opinion or agenda, or am I voting based on what I believe is in the best interest of the village? I'd like to wish Mayor Todd Hart and Village Council the best of luck in the coming years, and I hope that 100% of the time you can say to yourself, I am voting based on what I believe is in the best interest of Amelia Village. The following pages are statistics that will provide historical financial data from 2006 to 2011. God bless you all, and thank you for your service. I'm just going to read some of these summaries quickly. I don't want to bore everybody with numbers. I do want to say that I sent this report out to all council by way of email this afternoon and copied the fiscal officer on it, and just simply asked him to check my numbers. He provided me the resource material that led me to create this document, and whenever you're creating a document with a lot of numbers in it, it's a pretty good idea to have somebody check your numbers. In my email to you, Kevin, I asked you to just review check my mathematics, and if there are any changes, if you could suggest at the approval of minutes for the next meeting, you could just suggest amending those numbers.
If I may interject, one thing I did learn today, as your last page, you mentioned the local government fund.
Mm-hmm.
Next year, the formula for determining the local government distribution in Claremont County will be put to a vote by all the villages and townships. So the estimated, 96,000, I think you have a year repeated on here, may or may not be the same. In all likelihood, it will be lower.
Okay.
Because the townships are hurting worse than the villages. They have less leeway in what they can do. And there's
funds are being moved around.
There's 13 townships and 12 municipalities. So right off the bat, municipalities are going to lose.
If you see errors, numbers wise, in this report, and you create the minutes, if you'll just suggest to council that those corrections be amended. Do you mind doing that?
Not at all.
I'm just going to read these summaries under the heading of General Fund Revenue History from 2006 to present. By way of a summary, in 2011, the General Fund received $240,571.84 less than it did in 2008, for an average of $60,142.96 less revenue per year. By way of general fund expenses, in 2011, the general fund expenses were $365,744.67 less than they were in 2008, for an average of $436.17 less expenses per year. Now, since there was a $240,000 less revenue generated during this time frame, expenses had to be cut in the general fund by at least that much money. However, the general fund expenses during this time period were reduced by a greater amount, an amount of $365,744.67, which is $172.83 more than the lost revenue during that time period. Under the heading of the police revenue history, in 2011, the police revenues were $90,000. I'm just going to round here. $90,000 more than in 2008, for an average of more than $22,000 more revenue per year in the police fund from 2008 through 2011. Total revenues from 2008 through 2011 for the police department were about $2,300,000, for an average annual revenue through 2008 of roughly $580,000. Under the police fund expense history, in 2011, police fund expenses were $58,224.65 less than they were in 2008, for an average of $14,500 less expenses per year in the police fund from 2008 through 2011. Total expenses from 2008 through 2011 were $2,160,000. Again, I'm rounding. While revenues in the police fund increased by an average of $22,000 per year, expenses were decreased by $14,500 annually. In the street repair revenues history, in 2011, the street repair fund revenues were $38,000, roughly $800 less than in 2008. There's a pattern here. We lost revenue in every fund, for an average of roughly $9,800 less revenue per year in the street fund, or a total revenue of $740,200 during that time period, and an average annual revenue for 2008 through 2011 of $185,000. Again, for expenses in the street repair fund, in 2011, street repair fund expenses were $12,875 less than in 2008, for an average of $3,218.85 less annual expenses, with total expenses in street repair at just about $708,000 for an annual average of roughly $177,000. And the MVL fund, Kevin can provide an explanation of what that is if anybody needs to know. In the MVL fund, in 2011, the MVL fund revenues were $3,200 less than in 2008, for an average of $815 more. I'm sorry, let me go backwards. In 2011, the MVL fund revenues were $3,200 more than in 2008, for an average of $815 per year more. Total revenue for 2008 through 2011, $198,000, for an average annual revenue of $49,000. In the MVL fund, expenses were $38,000 less than in 2008, for an average of $9,700 less per year, 2008 through 2011, with total expenditures in the amount of $141,000 and an average annual expenses of $35,000. Under the heading of legal expenses, 2008 through 2011. 2008 through 2011 shows legal expenses in the amount of $307,000, or an average legal expenses from this time period of $76,000, or an average monthly legal expense of $6,397, or less than 3.56% of our total annual budget. And then under notes shows many of the items that are dealt with by the solicitor on a day-to-day basis. On the next page, combined revenue of all 6 major funds. This is the general fund, the street repair fund, police levy, cemetery, NVL, and the fire fund. And I'd just like to explain that these 6 funds account for roughly 90% of all revenues and expenses. The combined revenue in all 6 of these funds, 2008 through 2011, totaled roughly $6,700,000, for an average annual revenue in these 6 funds of roughly $1.6 million. In summary, the 2011 combined revenues in the 6 funds were $344,000 less than in 2008, for an average of $86,191.42 less revenue per year in these 6 funds. Next heading is for combined expenses of the six major, these are expenses from those same six funds. Combined expenses were $6,500,000, an average annual expense of $1.63 million. In summary, the combined expenses in these six funds were $460,000 less than in 2008, for an average of $115,000 less expenses per year. Again, that's for those six funds, 2008 through 2011. And again, since there was $344,000 less revenue generated during this time frame, expenses in the combined six funds had to be reduced by at least that much. However, expenses in the combined funds during this period were reduced by a total of $460,000. The total annual budgets for all funds for 2008 through 2011, the totals are listed there for an average annual budget of, for this time period, of $2,161,322.27. We talked about the local government fund, and I see there where I did duplicate that. Thanks for catching that, Kevin. In the local government fund, 2011 revenues were $117,000. Projected revenue for 2012, $96,000. Projected revenue for 2013, $48,000. Projected revenue for 2014, $0. Fiscal officer just indicated that there could be some changes in those funds. Under general fund projections, Fiscal Officer Kevin Powell has projected the following for the general fund in 2012 and 13. In 2012, an ending balance, a positive balance of roughly $28,000. And for 2013, a negative balance of roughly $41,000. Again, I apologize for the length of this. This will be something that we're so inclined to spend more time on, but I just want to provide an overview of the financial background from 2011 to present. I'm happy to answer any questions at any time if anyone has any questions. Next item on the agenda this evening is the Fire Chief's report. So Chief Jackson is here.
Good evening. I get you a hard copy of the report, should be emailed to you tomorrow afternoon. But for the month of November, 15 fire calls to the village, 41 EMS calls to the village, and took care of a total of 47 patients. As Chief mentioned, we did have the fatality, 2 people struck. As I said, one of the gentlemen's got a long way to go, it sounds like. So, besides that, we appreciate the opportunity to lead the Amelia Christmas Parade, and we wish all of you a very Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Any questions, concerns? That's my report.
Thank you very much, Chief.
Just keep them rolling.
Yeah.
Next item on the agenda this evening is the Public Works report from Public Works Supervisor Rick Rowland.
Good evening.
Hello.
In addition to the routine maintenance, Public Works Department was involved in the following. We finished the leaf pickup. There are still some leaves out there. The residents just need to bag those and we pick them up on our regular pickup days, which is Monday. For the most part, they're pretty well clean, but there's some that was put out later, and some of the tractor just did not get those residues up, and they're going to have to be graded. Then we'll pick them up. We're still with the ongoing keeping those drains clear because of those leaves. So we're out every day getting some here and some there. Also, Grove Park, I have obtained information regarding the skate park, and I'll put this information in the packet, and you can decide where to go from that point. Christmas lights were installed on December 5th. All are working except for we have one far in the town, which has shorted out the GFI. We've got to get up there and replace the whole system. That'll be next year.
because it's just not fiscally smart to take that truck out for one unit. The international dump truck has been finished at a cost of $3,370.75. It's outfitted and ready to go. So we do have one truck on and ready for the snow. The Chevrolet is now in Jerrytown, and he's getting the welding parts done. The mechanical pieces or parts have been fixed. We did get good news that they were able to recondition a few of the old pieces and make sure they was fit instead of buying a lot of new. So we saved return parts for over $1,000 a day. So the truck will come in much lower than what we had estimated. New truck purchase. I received a quote on what the trade-in value of what they allow was only $10,000. With this in mind, I think it'd be best to keep it for another 4 to 5 years if it'll last that long. And with the new repairs, I think we can try to baby it along. However, in 5 years, it'll be 17 years old with an excess of 220,000 miles on it. But if we do that and look into a new truck this year, we can begin a rotation basis by trading in or getting rid of the other truck in 5 years. Every 5 years, we receive a new truck, but they'll be in service for 10 years. And with routine maintenance, they should last that long or be in pretty good shape like that. So I'd like to go ahead and look into getting those numbers together and get a new truck purchased by spring. Chevrolet will probably get us through the winter with their fingers crossed. It seems today there's a lot of welding to do. So that would be my suggestion, council, is to purchase a new truck this year and maintain the international for 5 more years, then start a rotation basis on replacements. That's about the best we can do with that. Sign damage. We've had 3 signs that was been ran over. 2 was ours, 1 was the state. I had police reports made up for those. That the cost of the repair of those 2 signs was $249. The Christmas parade, we were involved in the Christmas parade, put up the detour sign and the cones, and then went back and picked everything up and got the streets clean after the different floats or whatever you want to call them went by. And lastly, I'd like to wish the mayor and the council a very Merry Christmas and the best of holidays. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Rick.
Merry Christmas.
I have something for you.
Okay.
You and I spoke the other day on the phone.
Oh, yes.
There's a product out there right now that will, it's called Magic Salt. Been working with the program the past couple weeks. And it does not, you can spray this product on your salt that you currently have. There is a cost involved, but it won't deteriorate your trucks.
Yeah, it neutralizes the salt.
Exactly.
Yes. We did some of those. I can look into it
Yeah.
more.
It's online under Magic Salt, and you can read up on it. But the thing is also, you're only using 50% of your salt usage,
Right.
and per snow event. It's that good.
Yeah, well, once you compare the spraying costs and see what we come up with.
Yeah.
There's some comparisons, we can do that.
Yeah.
There's a few other products that I mentioned that are out there that we need to look into. There's other ways that we can treat the streets, but there's some things we have to do to make it fiscally good. But there are ways to do that. But Magic
Yeah.
Salt is a
Yeah.
product.
And I meant to bring some literature this evening, but there are several of the major townships and municipalities already switched over to this.
Yeah. I know
Because it's so impressive. A lot of the hospitals, local hospitals, are just tickled to death about it. Because it's cutting their usage down to 50%.
Do they come out as need basis? Because we'll be getting our salt increments of 50 or 100 ton.
However you want to
So
do
we'll have
it.
to see how we charge per
Yeah.
ton or per visit.
And I could put you in contact with the representative.
Okay, we can do that.
And we used it on our parking lot last year, and it was, it cut it 50%. So it's something to really look at.
We'll look into it.
All right?
Thank you. Any other questions? Comments?
Rick, I have something for you.
Yes.
On the skate park, what was the award that you received back from the manufacturer? Where
I
is
have that copy here. Did you get a copy of that?
I got it. I haven't read it.
Their suggestion, it would not, to leave it off and not be any structural problems, However, if we leave it in a park, we need to anchor it a more secure way, or just simply remove it. Because if we keep holding it down, they keep taking it off, that liability is still there. So we will have to either mount that as a separate unit somewhere else, and or just remove it. But it does not involve the integrity of the skate ramp itself. It can be removed.
Okay. How do you feel about, how, do you need to do some more work before the park can be reopened?
I think what we would need to really do to it is just remove that box, and then we could open it. The advantages of that box is really none, because they use it as a skid, whatever you want to call that, the skid or skateboard across. We have 2 existing rails out there already, so in light of they don't want it on that box, we need to just remove it. To put it into another area of the park, we really don't have much room. They'll be running into each other to try to use it. So I think it's best at this point, and save it in case you want to expand at some time. But at this point, just remove that box completely.
You have any feedback on that, Derek? I know you've been.
Yeah, I think that's the first step. Remove it. For the rest of this year, we'll look at some special fasteners or welding it in place.
Get welding.
And, you know, there is one other thing. We'll have to fill the bolt holes with
Okay.
little buttons, you know, to put down.
We could,
So,
yeah, just get buttons and
right.
we can do that.
All right. So, when do you anticipate removing that?
We could do it as soon as tomorrow. Well, it's pouring down rain or not. On Thursday, if not right after Christmas, because won't be here the week of Christmas. So we will try to do it on Thursday at the weather committee. It's just a matter of, say, put some bolts in there, pick that thing up, and move it out. Then we can open it up.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next item on the agenda, we'll skip past the Recreation Commission report and go to the approval of outstanding bills.
Other than payroll and 4 or 5 bills came in late, really nothing's been paid since the last meeting. Partially, and this is the reason why we have the supplemental appropriations for this year, so I could pay them.
Okay. So there's no approval needed then?
Not at this time. The bills that I need to pay, Ohio Municipal League, $810, UAN support, $915. This will be next year, but $2,130 towards the Ohio Public Works loan. And we've got another settlement that we need to take care of.
Okay. All right, we have a few pieces of legislation this evening. First is, oh, see this on my list. There it is, okay. On this, number 59, Julia,
Yes.
is this, we're doing this now as an emergency? Last week we just did a reading on it, correct?
We did just do a reading on it. It is up to council. It could be approved today as an emergency, or it could be approved at the January 3rd meeting. It is for CBS and Associates for their engineering contract. I don't believe we'd probably use any engineering services on the 2nd or 3rd. It's going to be an emergency so that we can sign the contract with them immediately without waiting that 30 days.
So I'll read it as it's written, as an emergency, and let council make the determination. Ordinance number ordinance number 2011-59, an ordinance retaining CVS Associates Incorporated as village engineer for engineering services, providing for payment of fees and declaring an emergency. At this time, I entertain a motion from council to suspend the rules for 3 readings on 3 dates.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campbell. Hart.
Yay.
Thank you. Mr. Pollock.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yay.
Mr. Hart.
Yay.
Mr. Rosser.
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
No.
5-1, rules suspended.
All right, let me get back to that. Next, I entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number O-2011-59.
Make the motion.
Second.
Discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campbell.
Yay.
Mr. Pollock.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yay.
Mr. Hart.
Yay.
Mr. Rosser.
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
6-0, adopted.
All right. Next piece of legislation I have is ordinance number O. This is 60. Ordinance number O-2011-60, an ordinance by the Council of Amelia Village, Ohio, amending the annual appropriations of village funds for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2011 for Amelia Village, and declaring an emergency. At this time, I entertain a motion from the council to suspend the rules for 3 readings on 3 dates.
So moved. Second.
Second.
Discussion or roll call?
Mr. Campbell.
Yay.
Mr. Pollock.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yay.
Mr. Hart.
Yay.
Mr. Rosser.
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
Passes, rules are suspended.
Next, I'll entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number O-2011-60.
Make that motion. Second.
Discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campbell.
Yay.
Mr. Pollock.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yay.
Mr. Hart.
Yay.
Mr. Rosser.
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
Passes 6-0.
Ordinance number O-2011-60 is adopted. Next ordinance for council consideration this evening is ordinance number O-2011-61, an ordinance by the Council of Amelia Village, Ohio, adopting the temporary annual appropriations of village funds for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2012 for Amelia Village.
So
Will serve as a first reading.
First reading.
That's a first reading.
Appropriations don't need,
They don't need emergency clause.
They don't need an emergency
no,
clause?
they're enacted as read.
Oh, they are?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Second.
So we have a first and a second. Any discussion or questions?
A little background for members of council who are not on the finance committee. We did meet this past week and went over the appropriations. Basically, my recommendation to the finance committee, who then moved to go ahead and submit it to council, is based on actual appropriations for 2011, reduced down wherever I could based on actual 2011 expenses as of December 9th. We have until March 31st to do a final appropriations. The biggest wild card in the whole thing is the health insurance. The temporaries take into account the estimated 35% increase. Everything else should be holding the same.
All right. Did we do a roll call?
Not yet.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion before we move to a roll call? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campbell.
Yay.
Mr. Pollock.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yay.
Mr. Hart.
Yay.
Mr. Rosser.
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
Passes 6-0.
O-2011-61 is adopted. All right, now were we missing a piece of legislation? I know Julie had some on her desk still, but went home sick today.
And the agenda says that there should be 50 and 51.
We got a third reading.
Third readings on both of those. They're both read at the previous 2 meetings.
Okay. I know, I just don't have the ordinance.
I have them. I think I've got them on my desk.
I mean, I can read the heading, what's in the,
what's in the report. It's the same pattern. Next item for council discussion or consideration this evening is ordinance number O-2011-50. This will serve as a third reading, revising the personnel policy and manual and establishing methodology to determine seniority for village employees. Again, this will serve as a third reading. This time I entertain a motion from council.
I'll make a motion for third
Second.
reading.
Discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campbell,
Yay.
Mr. Pollitt,
Yay.
Ms. Gerber,
Yay.
Mr. Hart,
Yay.
Mr. Rosser,
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
Passes 6-0.
O-2011-50 is adopted. Next ordinance for consideration is O-2011-51, an ordinance establishing dates of hire and seniority for Amelia Police Department and Amelia Public Works members, and this will serve as a third reading. At this time, I entertain a motion from council.
Make a motion to adopt.
Second.
Discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campbell,
Yay.
Mr. Pollitt,
Yay.
Ms. Gerber,
Yay.
Mr. Hart,
Yay.
Mr. Rosser,
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
Passes 6-0.
Ordinance number O-2011-51 is adopted. Next item on the agenda this evening is public input. This time we open the floor to any citizen who'd like to stand and address council. If you just stand and state your name and state your business.
I have a couple things to say. Michelle Ballstein. I would like to know, is it common practice for a resident to ride along with a police officer in the cruiser while they're on duty?
Yeah, we usually have a liability waiver,
Okay.
and of course there's restrictions on it. I would like to see like 4 hours per 30 days, and it would have to be of age person or a person that is currently in a higher education that would need that for his school.
Okay. So then that person would have to come and say, sign a waiver?
Yes.
Okay. And is that part of the public records if I requested to see that information? Whether there was a waiver signed or not by a person?
No, I got to check on that. I'm not sure about that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Sure.
Second thing, just a statement I'd like to read. Public service position is a thankless job. The sacrifices that are made, both personally and professionally, far outweigh the monetary amount that you're paid, and that's if you're paid. You can't be self-centered, egotistical, or selfish. Thankfully, for the last 4 years, we've had a mayor who was none of these. I personally want to thank Leroy Ellington for all he sacrificed to better our community that we live in, and I want to thank you personally, and let you know that I appreciate you and appreciate all that you have done. I hope that you continue to be a pillar in this community.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that very much. Other public input this evening? Open the floor to council input.
I've got two things. For anybody out there interested in the council seat that will be coming vacant in January, please send in a letter of intent to Julie. We're supposed to have them in by the 1st. The second thing I've got, I'm kind of swinging a different mode here. Actually, it really gives me great pleasure to be able to give this to somebody who's done an outstanding job in this village, and that's Mayor Leroy Ellington, and recognition of your service to our community, the citizens of Amelia. The village thanks you. The Recreation Commission 2003, December 2007, Village Council January 2004 to 2007, and Village Mayor 2008 to 2011. So, thank you, Leroy.
Thank you very much.
Now you know where the gavel went.
I didn't even notice it.
That's your personal gavel.
Yeah, I didn't even notice it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Very welcome. Well earned.
Any other council input this evening?
I do.
Yes.
I'd like to personally thank Mayor Ellington for the outstanding job over the past 4 years. What he's accomplished during his tenure and under the circumstances, not only a reflection of him as mayor, but him as a person. I, for one, am sorry that he had chose not to run again, but understand his reasons why. As a citizen and a council member, I thank him for all that he has done for this village, and you will be missed immensely.
Thank you very much. I might not be missed. I'm liable to.
Well, they aren't important anyway.
Thank you very much.
And the same goes for Tim. I'd like to thank you for your service for the past 4 years as well, and you too will be missed.
We do have a little something for you, but it got locked up into a file cabinet, and we don't have a key because Julie's not here tonight. So make sure you get that at the next council meeting.
That's just one of the little things that if Julie were not to be here, that would.
Yeah.
You notice there's no name plaques tonight except for Leroy. So.
Thank you very much. Any other council input before we move to adjourn?
The only other thing I have, for anybody that might be interested, I'll be sworn in January 1st at 12 noon here in the municipal building. So it'll be high noon like Clint Eastwood. Thank you.
Can I ask one more question? Are we doing citizen of the year next meeting?
Say it again?
Citizen of the year, will that be next meeting?
Yes, that will be at the
I
next
didn't hear
meeting.
anybody mention that.
It'll be handled at the January 3rd meeting. Last thing, thank you all. They were kind enough to speak on my behalf, and I thank you very much. And it's been an honor. This time I entertain a motion from council to adjourn at 7:55 p.m.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Thank you.